Hello, all, and welcome to Hockey on Tap podcast. This is episode 5. I'm your host, Bill Dean, and I'm here, of course, with my two co-hosts, Steve Echeverria and Mike Sandello, a.k.a. Little Steve and Schwim, co-hosts. So, all right, guys, let's get into it. What are you drinking?
Schwim, you can start us off.
I'm going to start us off. All right, I am drinking something by Evil Twin Brewing. It's called I Actually Wish It Snowed More This Winter.
Oh, boy.
It is a Ghost Ale, watermelon, salt, and vanilla. Vanilla. A little salty.
Watermelon.
I know it's a weird combination, but it's not bad. I don't know. I'll rate it at the end. I don't know what to give it yet. I'm still absorbing it, but not bad for now.
I think it tastes like straight up watermelon juice. If you like watermelon, I suppose.
Watermelon's not bad.
So I'm back with Sigmeister again with the Tiller. It is a saison mixed with a whole mess of blackberries. It's really good. I think I had the lemon basil, the Gardner, the last time, which was also really refreshing. These are good summer beers, saison. They're very herby. So if you're not into like the herb type flavor, then maybe stay away from the saisons. But it's got that spice and the fruit to it, and at a low alcohol volume, it's pretty easy to drink.
Mine's only 5%, I think.
Crushable.
5.5.
Crushable.
Boom.
Crushable good.
Crushable.
So I am going with Wild Little Thing by Sierra Nevada. It's a slightly sour ale with guava, hibiscus, and strawberry. Actually pretty good. Obviously, Sierra Nevada, North Carolina, and Cali, big brewery. It's really good. I actually went to the site in North Carolina. It was awesome. Cornhole out the Yin Yang, which is good. And they have a whole bunch of games and fire pits and concerts, a lot of good stuff. So, Sierra Nevada, 4.25. It's pretty good. It's a good sour. So, obviously, I said episode 5 in the beginning. And that's because episode 4 was an emergency podcast we had on Monday. Sorry, we had on Tuesday last week. Basically, we did that emergency podcast because the NHL had the news about the 2014 playoff, the official NHL presser with the commish, Mr. Bettman. Just quick briefing. Once again, 2014 playoff for the Cup, 16-team qualification bracket, which is a best-of-5 series. We already did the matchup, so please go back to the episode 3 for that little teaser on that. Each conference gets a host city that'll be determined later on. And then we talked about, obviously, facilities and their testing and hub cities. But unfortunately, because Schwim has a piss-poor phone service, Steve and Schwim both got disconnected. So I wanted to take this time to allow you two to both make up for it and give me a little insight on what you think on that playoff.
Yeah, whose idea was it to put this guy in phone call?
Who called me first? I didn't call me.
Sam did it.
If anybody was surprised that happened to this guy, and of course I had to be associated with it, you shouldn't be surprised. You're going to learn real quick. Never trust.
Don't call my phone.
Yeah, Steve's talking all of a sudden, dun, like, all right, well, goodbye.
I'm
Guys,
pretty sure you hit and got us out of there.
In full disclosure, I did not know that Schwim had T-Mobile, so it's not my fault.
Yeah,
They
Schwim
will
just had a
never sponsor
disclaimer
us.
on his forehead. Sorry, T-Mobile.
No, we would get disconnected with T-Mobile when the check comes in if they sponsor us. Anyway, carry on.
Thanks, God. All right, Schwim, go ahead and give us your.
I don't even remember what we were supposed to be talking about.
Give us that 2014 playoff, a little bit of your thoughts, because obviously you missed out.
A little bit. And it sounds like you're saying 2014 playoffs, but I know you're saying 2014 playoffs.
I said teen?
It sounded like you're saying 2014, like the year 2014.
Teen. We're never talking about teens.
It's that new headset. You look good in it, though.
I do. Thank you.
So 24 teams again. I was always for doing the 16, not the 24, but it is what it is. We have that preliminary round with all the other teams playing each other, and then the top 4 seeds have the bye and wait for those teams to finish. I'm still interested to find out what the 2 hub cities are. how that's going to work. I think that's most important in this whole thing. That what two cities, one, that they're going to pick, and two, how they're going to be able to hold how many teams in each city. It's 12 in each city.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still want to see like logistically how they're going to do that. But that was like my main thing. Go ahead, Dean. You want to say something?
Well, I was just going to say quickly about the hub cities. I just wanted to give you the list: Chicago, Columbus, Dallas, Las Vegas, Edmonton, LA, Minnesota, St. Paul, Pitt, Vancouver, and Toronto. So obviously, big. You're not talking big cities. You're not going small ones. So the NHL obviously wanted an area that had some television. Obviously, they can't do New York. They are doing LA though, which is I figured that'd be tough. But go ahead. Sorry, Schwim.
It's all right. But yeah, those cities housing all those teams and personnel, and I don't know if they're allowed to bring family members or anything with them. That's a lot of people to try to house in just two cities. I thought like
Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas can
easily do it.
Well, yeah.
That's why I think they got to be a front runner to be one of the teams for the Western or conference or whatever. But
yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, with Vegas, Vegas easily could be one. I think the rest would be a coin toss. But also, I mean, they're not completely sold on the fact of having a hub city in the East and a hub city in the West, because you don't have to worry about traveling to and from, each team's home arena. So there's no travel at all. You're in one city, and you're only playing in the one city. So if they're both in the West, not a big deal. If they're both in Canada, also not a big deal. It doesn't really matter. And also the markets don't really matter. You have to assume that all of these games are going to at least try to be nationally televised, just to kind of make up some of that money. But otherwise, I mean, you don't have to worry about ticket sales and, wherever you're going to have these games, that's irrelevant. So it really could be any two. And you're thinking that, in this preliminary round, you're eliminating 8 teams probably within a week. So you're going to reduce the amount from there. So obviously you'll have less to worry about once, some of these teams are sent home. So you have to think the best of 5 series are going to be pretty quick, and they're going to try and squeeze them in as quickly as they can.
No, I mean, in each team, they did say that they'd have 50 personnel. I don't know if that includes families, but comprehensive testing. So obviously, they want to make sure that they get this right. They don't want to have any issues. We don't know how it's going to work in terms of if someone does get sick. NHL has not released that yet, but Bill Daly did have some comments just saying that they're working on that, and that they obviously wanted to, like I said, get things right, because they don't want to have an error where there's another shutdown, because that would just, it'd ruin it for the season and for them. The NHL does want to start the 2020-2021 season on time, or at least close to on time. So they're not going to jeopardize that, which obviously, you can understand it. You don't want to have 2 hockey seasons ruined. If you can just have the one and, some semblance of a playoff for this season, that'd be great. So. But, I mean, we talked about in other shows, the qualifying matchups. I'm not going to get through that. But, they did give us a little bit more on the draft lottery. Obviously, the 7 clubs that did not play get the top 7 picks. They get the chance at the top 7 picks in terms of percentages. So there's the 8 teams that are eliminated in the qualifying get the next 8 slots. So they'll have Detroit. So from 1 to 7, Detroit, Ottawa, because they had the 2 picks, one from San Jose, the Kings, Ducks, Jersey Devils, and Buffalo. So they'll get the first top 7 percentages at the first overall pick, and then the next 8 teams they actually go A through H. And the way they have that set up is if there'll be a first lottery, and if any of those teams from A to H win one of those top 1, 2, or 3 slots, they would have a second drawing. Probably more towards the end of qualifying, beginning of that first round of the cup playoffs, the actual cup playoffs, and they would have basically a lottery for those 8 teams that had lost in the qualifying rounds. They each get a 12.5% chance at that pick. So it kind of makes it so that they're not worrying so much about tanking in the playoffs. they're not giving anybody a disadvantage or a real advantage. I think it's a good idea. And I don't know what you guys think, but maybe give your thoughts.
That was one question that popped into my head about this draft thing. Having teams that are in the qualification preliminary round to the playoffs all in this lottery, and the chance of them getting, say, 1, 2, or 3 pick, and then having to play a matchup, would they tank their series just to keep that? So, for instance, the Montreal Canadiens end up getting that number 1 pick. Would they lose on purpose? Because the Montreal Canadiens, a team that no one expects, probably even they don't expect. There's the fan favorite for everybody.
They'll be making picks eventually. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You should just put a sticker on the side of him as he walks by.
He just wants me. Every time he jumps up here, I think he's basically just telling us to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's like it's my turn.
He's the star of the show, so I think
he's got a lot of fan review.
Pay. I think people would pay if he were just the screen and nobody would have to look at our mugs this entire time or listen to our voices. His voice is a lot smoother than mine. It's like a phone sex operator. And continuing on with my with what I was saying, would the Montreal Canadiens, risk the chance of losing out on Alex Lafreniere for whatever chance that they have to actually winning the Stanley Cup? I don't imagine that, but also at the same time, I don't think it is at all possible for any players at any point, the players, to tank anything. I don't think they're capable of losing on purpose, and the players really aren't playing for a number 1 overall pick. The players want to win. Whenever you think about tanking, that's all on ownership and management. Getting rid of players, playing minor league players instead, and just basically building a roster that's kind of almost meant to lose. But that doesn't mean that those players don't try to win. So I don't see how it would be possible for anybody to tank in the playoffs, even if that would be a consideration or a thought that somebody would have. Mm-hmm. I just don't think any player would be capable of losing on purpose, and I can't imagine any manager would tell them that they have to lose on purpose, or if the GM or the ownership or something are telling the coach that they need to do this, that, or the other thing just not to lose that pick. But I don't think we're even going to run into that problem. I would think that the number 1, 2, and 3 are probably going to end up being won by those bottom 7 teams.
I really hope so. I really hope Detroit gets that first pick.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question. Is if a team who's not in those first 7 during the first lottery, like, say, Montreal, wins that lottery in the first one, they don't automatically get it. It goes into a second lottery.
It goes to a second lottery for the 8 losing teams.
But that's later on when they're playing hockey.
Yeah, later on.
So hockey's it. Okay. So there's really no way that they could even really tank or even know.
No, yeah, because it's a total crapshoot. Yeah, you get a 12.5% chance of getting that pick. So I mean, you're not guaranteed anything.
One of those 7 teams wins it. We don't have to do any of this other garbage afterwards.
Just statistically,
it's all 3. It's all 3 picks.
Yeah,
so 1, 2, and 3 are all.
One for the first one, the second one, and the third one. Yeah. So let's hope it just goes Detroit, Ottawa, and
Ottawa,
whoever. I don't care. And Ottawa again. I don't care.
Ottawa. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they get Lucas Raymond and Quentin Byfield. Oh my God, that is.
You know who I wouldn't mind? I'd like to see Buffalo win the lottery, get that first overall pick.
Yeah.
Make Jack Eichel smile. I feel bad.
Yeah, it makes Jack Eichel smile, and then they'd lose, in Buffalo, and he'd want to leave too.
No, he would leave, and then this guy would take over.
We could talk about this later, but I think Eichel's absolutely getting traded. He's going to want to trade, and they won't want to trade him, but he's going to want to leave.
No.
But
he'll want to leave eventually.
Nah, I mean, so obviously that 2014 playoff was big news in the IHL and stuff we really wanted to hear as hockey fans. We want hockey back, pretty much in any form, within reason, but obviously within, safe, healthy, happy confines, making sure there's no issue. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. Hockey back is awesome. So, I wanted to also touch base on this other thing. There was some talk about some compliance buyouts for next year. Obviously, with the cap possibly being reduced for next season, maybe it stays the same, but they have a kind of a exceptional player exemption where you can take a top player and kind of nullify his cap hit for the season. I don't think they'll do that. I think they'd rather give you a compliance buyout. So, Obviously, how does this affect your teams? Basically, what it would be is two-thirds. If your player is over the age of 26, you get 2/3 of the cap hit over double the remaining years. So if you had Mark Stahl, which Rangers $5.6 million for just 1 year, you would have 2/3 of his cap hit for this season coming up, and then the year after, because double the year, you would have then just 1/3 of that remaining. So you'd buy him out over 2 years. Same thing if you did Hank at $8 million, which I don't want to do, but it would be the same kind of deal. So how would you guys take your cap hit, or how would you take your compliance buyout?
Sure, you
I'll go first.
Notes there.
So, there's a lot of people on Tampa who like Killorn's making $4.5 million, Palat's over $5 million, Tyler Johnson's $5 million, Yanni Gourde is over $5 million. I don't know who they would maybe. I don't know if they would do any one of them or try to trade one of those guys first. I know 3 out of 4 of them have a full no trade clause. Killorn has a limited trade clause that kicks in July 1st. But he's at all of them. He's right now having the best. He's having a career year. So I don't know if they would want to. They maybe want to keep him in the fold and not get rid of him. And maybe my personal preference right now would be somehow Yanni Gourde, get him off the books because he's on the 4th line making $5.1 million for the next 6 years. He had 1 or 2 good. He had a really like a breakout year kind of the year before, and they paid him for that. And that's what a player tries to do is have a really good year in a year that he's due to get paid and make some money. And he hit it. He hit it pretty well.
I love going to Rangers Tampa games and watching Schwim just scream at Yanni Gourde. It is absolutely fantastic.
I love
him and
Baguette.
But him and Baguette.
You yell at Baguette. He's another one too, but whatever. He's not making over $5 million, so I'm okay with that to play the 4th line. But he's one that maybe I could see maybe them trying to do something with. I was looking at cap spaces for teams currently right now. Tampa only has $1.26 million in cap space, and there's 15 teams in the league right now that are under $1 million in cap space. I thought that's half the league basically is under $1 million cap space. I thought that was pretty interesting. But so my pick would be try to do something with Yanni Gourde's contract. I don't know for a player making that much contribute. I mean, not saying he doesn't contribute, but he's on the 4th line playing 12, 13 minutes a game, and he's not, he's not scoring. I think it's a little much. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, going back to all these teams are basically pressed to the cap ceiling or even over it. I mean, you're seeing. I mean, even maybe even the past 2-3 years of this free agency signings. I mean, you're seeing 3rd line guys get long-term contracts at a lot more money than you would expect. I mean, that's just how it is now. I mean, the players are just demanding a lot more money. You see teams that can be really successful by having a lot of young guys who are still fitting under their entry-level contracts, who are basically those bottom 6 roles. Is usually where they're most successful. But I mean, if you're trying to just build a team based on free agents, it's next to impossible because you're just not going to have enough cap space. So you got to have those guys who aren't demanding a lot of money. Yeah, I probably agree with you, Schwim, on your assessment of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah. But again, we don't really know what the cap is going to be next season. So it's just about. I mean, if you're talking about all those teams that are pressed to the cap ceiling, you're going to see a lot of buyouts, and then. You think what happens to those players? Because I mean, unfortunately, they might have to sign with. You're looking at the ones who are trying to reach the cap floor, which isn't going to be. It's not. It's only a handful of teams now. There used to be a lot more that needed to reach this cap floor. But you're going to see some big names end up going to other teams. I guess they're just forced to because these top teams just can't afford to sign free agents. I mean, and the free agency signings is going to be tough too because. I mean, teams worried about signing their own players and then, of course, losing salary cap space. How are you going to fit another superstar in there? Like, Taylor Hall, is he going to be able to go? Is he going to be able to go to a contender now because the contenders are already over the cap? So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with the numbers and so on and what they do. But I mean, if we're going with this compliance buyout, I mean, the two that came to mind for Pittsburgh, the one who I don't want to see go is Patrick Hornquist, but it seems like he would be probably one of the ones to be bought out. He's 5.3 million. I'm sorry, 5.3 million through the 2022-23 season. And that's he's extremely effective. I mean, effective. I haven't seen a player give that much effort so consistently. I mean, even when the team looks like there's zombies out there, there's one player who sticks out every single game, even if he's not producing, and it's Patrick Hornquist. And a player like him is just, there's not too many like that who can really get under the skin, especially the goalies. And he's that net front presence that there's just not a whole lot of that in the league. So unfortunately, I would think that if there were compliance buyouts, he might be one of the victims of that.
He's a playoff player. I would like to have on my team in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think any team would appreciate that. And of course, if he's getting the compliance buyout, who knows what he ends up signing for? I mean, granted, he could sign for a lot cheaper.
Come to the dark side.
Everyone's going to the
so
Rangers.
You can sign him for another $5 million contract. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The other one
I would take him over Gord.
The other one I see is Nick Bukestad. Now you could. I genuinely feel sorry for this man. Who?
Jack Johnson. No? Jack Johnson.
Everybody's calling for Jack Johnson. It's just that these two contracts are the largest. So if you're eliminating Nick Bukestad and Patrick Hornquist, that's $5.3 million and $4.1 million respectively. Everybody wants to see Jack Johnson bought out. It might happen. It probably even still will. These are just kind of my guesses. If they can keep Patrick Hornquist and possibly buy out Nick Bukestad and Jack Johnson, that might happen. I think Jack Johnson gets, he's not a flashy star player, and I think he can complement certain players, but he's not a top minutes guy, which he was forced to play with Chris Letang, with injuries and so on, and he's just not that type of player.
You guys there? All right, well, these guys are breaking up a little bit, so let's just try to see if we can get them. You guys back in?
Are you back? You hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I think we lost you for a little bit.
Okay. Cool.
Can you hear us? Yeah, you paused for a little bit. I think we're all right.
I saw it freeze. Anyway, go. Right. Just to summarize, I was probably rambling there about Jack Johnson. So it could be Jack Johnson, but you said with these injuries, and leave it to the Pittsburgh Penguins to sustain injuries when the league is on complete hold with Dominic Simone and now Nick Bukestad having disc surgery. So he's for these playoffs. When we were talking episode about the lines are going to be, I had Bukestad in there. I don't think a lot of people did have Bukestad in there. It affects much with the lines, but if you're lines buyouts, and I think he might be one of the victims. So any of those three, probably, if I were to pick three, I think everybody else is pretty safe. And then some of the what do you call it, UFAs might just end up going, like, Connor Sherry's and guys like that.
There's a cat ready to pounce on you up above, Steve. The second one makes its entrance. Steve has 2 cats, right?
2 cats now, yeah. I was waiting for her to make some noise.
Yeah, I was waiting for.
She's kind of confused up there, looks like.
Yeah. All right. Well, so obviously the Rangers, the big salary over the head is Henrik Lundqvist, $8.5 million. I'm obviously the one that doesn't want them to cut, make him a compliance buyout. I just think he's too valuable to the team. Years of service. I know you don't pay, you don't want to pay them now what they were, 3-4 years ago. But, I think his leadership ability for young goaltenders, namely Igor Shesterkin, I would actually trade Georgiev for, whatever you can get for him, obviously, within reason. And I'd probably cut Mr. Mark Stahl. He's a warrior. He's been there. The eye injury was.
Ranger fan. Every Ranger fan agrees with you.
No, that's not true. I go on a lot of hockey boards and I go on a lot of podcasts, and they think Hank is the way to go just because the money, the dollar value. I mean, he's an extra $3 million more than Stahl. So, I can't see
that.
You're talking
being a backup goalie.
Yeah, well, yes, I know.
Goalie, I mean.
But I just think that the way you want to go
a fourth
is
line winger making $5.1 million for 6 years.
but just the experience and let the guy get on top. Whether he gets to play in the playoffs, which we'll talk about obviously down the road with the matchups and stuff, but whether he gets to start or not, I don't want his last game being a dud, which is what it was. At the end of the season, the regular season, that is. I'd cut out Stahl. Like I said, he was a Warrior. Once he had that eye injury, his play kind of went downhill. But he was an All-Star game. Not that that's the largest accomplishment, but it was pretty good for a shutdown defenseman. He's a good, solid workhorse. I mean, games played, block shots. Everyone's gonna remember him and love him. But I think he's at $5.8 million, and it's another. It's some money that could be spent elsewhere. But some other big names, obviously, besides our three teams, they're talking about like Adam Henrique being cut. He's got $5.8 million over 4 years. So that's a pretty big hit for a guy that's for Anaheim might not be contributing exactly how he wants to. Some other big names I'll let you guys touch base on them. Kessel, Okposo in Buffalo, that was god awful. Seabrook still got 8.5 years 6.8 million in 4 years. That's a monster. Obviously the big one in Florida, Bobrovsky, where he's got 10 million and another 6 years left, and they just drafted last year 16 or 15 overall, the rookie goaltender, so they're going to want him in there soon. My boy Zook in Minnesota, he's got 6 million, another 4 years left. That's a big contract for someone that might not be going the way they want to. But on the other side of it, Zach Parise, 7.5 million, another 5 years. I mean, those two contracts for him and Suter, just
I think
ridiculous.
Parise was rumored to be traded. No, so I mean, I think regardless, the future with Minnesota is kind of done.
Do all these guys have some sort of trade clause in their contracts? They sign a limited one or a full no trade or what?
Yeah. So obviously, probably some of these guys. This is the only way they can be bought out of those contracts. Mm-hmm. Kyle Turris, Corey Schneider with the Devils, 6 million, 2 years left. Andrew Ladd, Islanders. Obviously, and when we talked about obviously the big guys, Hornquist for Pens and Rangers, and also obviously the Bolts. So just a little quick, we want to touch base on that. Now to some fun stuff. Obviously, you guys see behind us. Well, you want to do the jerseys first? Or you want to do the quarantinis?
We're leaning for jerseys.
Yeah, we're leaning.
All right, we'll do jerseys. Charleston Chiefs over here. So, all right. So there was an article online, best jerseys now and ever, the 100 greatest NHL uniforms of all time. So we went through and we're looking at them and we want to kind of give our opinions. Obviously, these gents have 2 jerseys. Yeah, Schwim, why don't you tell me about your jerseys?
All right, so this jersey is from, actually both are from a website, geekyjerseys.com. They have all sorts of jerseys like this, movie-based, video game-based, TV, just pop culture stuff. So mine is, I'm going to get up so you can see it.
Don't come back.
I'll stay over here for the remainder of the show. Is a Indiana Jones jersey. It's pretty sweet. Number 81, because that's the year I believe it came out. It's a Raiders of the Lost Ark jersey. It's pretty nicely stitched and the color scheme, and go to that website. They have really cool stuff. A lot of the stuff on there isn't available all right now, but you can request it, and when it becomes available, they can let you know. But then they have a bunch that are available. Yeah, that I requested it for you.
Nice.
And then they have a bunch that are available, and this was one of them, and so was Steven's jersey. Mm-hmm. Not that expensive, actually. It was only like it was like $100, around a little bit with shipping and stuff. I think it was a little over $100 each, which isn't bad. Nice quality, pretty heavy. So I think they're good for
I'm not wearing it.
Not wearing this in the summer, but you go to a game in the winter, I think you'll be all right. Really
sweating off.
Just really cool designs and colors and everything. And that's my fake team jersey, as opposed to real jerseys from the NHL that I love. Obviously, the Tampa third jersey from the 90s with it had waves, it had lightning, and it had rain in it. I don't know who came up with that, but they deserve some sort of award for creativity. It was. I actually really liked the numbers and how they did the font of the numbers of that jersey. If you ever check it out, I thought that was the coolest part. But a Tampa fan since I was young. When that jersey came out and I was younger, I didn't wet my pants, but I might have actually. But I really like that jersey a lot. And I actually like another team is the old Nordiques jersey.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, I don't know why. I really like it. Yeah, and I heard that Colorado, I think, is going to be possibly wearing those. Yeah.
So the Avs next year in a bunch of select games, I think they said up to 10 that they'll wear the Nordiques jersey because obviously, awesome. That'd be sick. That Nordiques jersey is on my list. Awesome. I just wanted to show because Tampa, obviously, hopefully we can show this really good. But this was the Tampa jersey that I thought you would go with. I don't know if that's too blurry.
What the old white one?
It's Marty and Mr. Richards.
Yeah.
But the good stuff. I like that jersey.
Hang that one up next week. Just for you.
That was definitely one of my favorites. But Steve, you got any others, or just the one? Because you just be a homer. Is that what you're gonna do? Can you pick another jersey?
Well, that and the Nordiques.
Nordiques, come on.
Like you were gonna
another one.
Some sort of Rangers jersey.
No, I have
another one that I
have 30 jerseys on here that I was gonna pick.
30? You were gonna announce 30 jerseys on this?
Oh my God.
Well, I was gonna give a couple. Yeah. I gotta show some love. I have one from each team. So even the Devils, I didn't give them really the Devils. I gave them the Rockies because I didn't want to give any New Jersey fandom. But
there you go.
So I picked the Colorado Rockies from 76 to 82. That was a nice jersey, actually. It was pretty good. The Rocky Mountain little, I thought that was good. But
do you remember this god awful jersey? We should talk about awful jerseys. Do you remember the god awful Kings jersey? That had just like that giant king head that was like up on the.
Yep.
It wasn't even a logo in the center. It was up here, and that
was like a breastplate. Yeah, I remember that.
Like the color scheme wasn't bad. I like that, but like the only logo was this tiny little king head. Like if they made that like a full logo on the chest, it might have been okay. But it was just so weird. And then the Anaheim Ducks one, where it's just the duck bursting through the ice. Do you remember that one?
The Mighty Ducks one?
Yeah, it was a Mighty Ducks. He's just bursting through the ice, and that was a pretty awful jersey too. But getting back to ones that I liked, I actually really liked, I don't know how many people like this one, the not old, but I think it was in the 90s, Buffalo Sabres jersey when they changed their color scheme to black and red and white and whatever. I have that jersey. Maybe I'll hang that one up. It had that big buffalo head on the front, and the color scheme I thought was really cool. I like that color scheme that went with it. Yeah. Yep. I actually met Michael Pekka one time, but that's another story.
Yeah. Oh, here's your jerseys from.
Yep. Which one? Oh yeah, there's the Kings one. Oh my God, we gotta somehow post that.
I was
somewhere.
Say
it's so terrible.
The Kings one. Hopefully this shows well, but this is Mr. Carter. But I like that Kings one.
The old one. That one's fine. With
that was
better
cool
than
one.
this.
I like that.
This thing is terrible.
I won't even show this one because you're not gonna be able to see it. But
I don't know. They must have been in a closed room with like a lot of. They must have been hotboxing in the conference room. Oh, and the old Islanders one. Oh man. The Gordon's Fisherman, that's one of the all-time worst jerseys, but yeah. Oh my God. So
yeah. No, I like
Dirty Jerseys episode 2. We can go
Dirty Jerseys episode 2. Now the Nordiques jersey though, you get that nice Joe Sakic with that fancy.
Yep.
I mean that's beautiful. So
I love that jersey. That's an awesome jersey.
I was looking through them because this is a whole big list. The Seals actually was pretty cool. The old Cali Seals.
Mm-hmm.
There's some pretty good ones. Obviously, Blackhawks have the traditional, the North Stars with that classic just end with the the bright star above it and that green. I like the green one color. Obviously you got the Chris Drury, the Buffalo one was pretty good. Steve, what do you got?
Well, I personally, this is when I was, as a kid when it came out, but was it the Calgary, the Blasty? Was that his name, the horse? Blasty the horse?
Was it?
The flaming horse head that Calgary had. I loved that jersey so much that I actually got a Ken Reggett personalized Calgary Flames jersey. And I imagine besides Ken Reggett himself, maybe he doesn't even have his own jersey anymore. I might be the only one in existence with a Calgary Flames Ken Reggett jersey.
You should contact him and be like, hey, I have your jersey and how much do you want for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Have him sign it, yeah.
I managed to get your jersey when you were on Calgary. Do you remember being on Calgary? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't.
Remember when you played hockey?
Forget?
Yeah. Probably be like, I was not on Calgary. Sorry, kid.
Oh, that's great.
Going to the Penguins jerseys, a lot of these teams are always bringing back these retro jerseys, which is always really cool. And the Penguins are always, have new ideas for whatever. And then they've been in, there's a lot of teams that have been in a lot of either Stadium Series, Winter Classics, whatever it is, and they have their own jersey that they release every year for that. And every year I want not that one, but you're in the right
Oh,
era.
I love
Just the
that jersey.
black jersey with just Pittsburgh down from the shoulder.
Yep.
It's just so basic.
Just the
but
lettering,
it's so
the logo.
classic, and I don't know why they haven't decided to bring that back. I mean, they went to the old school ones. Even their first Winter Classic, they went to the old powder blue jersey color scheme, which not crazy about. I still love the black and gold.
I like that they call that logo the RoboPen. RoboPens.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I do like that. The old logo though from the '90s is pretty great too. I actually, I think it was in 6th grade or something, I made it at a clay in a art class or something. I think I only made Penguins things back then. But the one jersey I sort of like, and my brother actually has. Everybody hates it. Is the Dallas Stars
one with the bull on it?
The bull.
Yeah, no one likes that jersey except
Everyone
for
hates it, but why?
3 of us. That's
I don't
it.
really know.
I don't know.
I mean, it
was so different from their other jersey that I think that's why maybe people didn't like it all that much.
Really had nothing to do with anything.
I think they could have maybe done a better job on the design of the actual jersey. Though I thought the logo was actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
it was totally different. It was like I would have never expected them to come out with like a logo like that. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Were you talking about that jersey?
That one, but they
had a black one of that. Yeah,
black and gold version of that. I had a jersey of that when I was in middle school, and some kid decided to smear ink on me.
Oh man!
And then I cried.
Was it? That would be just. Those are fighting. That's a fight-worthy offense when you ruin someone's jersey. But I did like the old Detroit one.
Yep. Also.
Yeah, good. I like the lines. I don't know why that was just a classic look. That was the
Detroit
the
spelled in white letters. Classic.
Classic.
75th anniversary for that one.
Ottawa one. Yeah, that one's good. I like that one.
I got one of those too. When
the design
Ottawa
of that
decided to change up their logo,
that was brief
bit,
too.
I believe it was. It doesn't say what year this was from, but they changed up the Ottawa logo to make it more Centurion.
Ottawa. I liked actually that one.
I like that one too. I like that one a lot. That one's simple and like really nice.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody just wants to forget what happened in the '90s because fashion was just so terrible, and it also kind of.
So was this the Flames?
Well. There he is.
There it is.
Blasty.
Is that Tukarask? Or not Tukarask?
I think it's Turk. Oh no, I thought it was Kipasov. Yeah, because this is the showing from '98. So this must have been a retro.
Yeah, he was
Kipasov. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the most awful jersey in all of hockey, just because that is god awful.
Yep.
Yeah, even
terrible.
The colors are just
fishermen.
Ugly.
I feel so sorry for that.
I said it before.
I know there's
hot box. That's what was going on when they were doing it, thinking of that jersey.
Yeah, that's a bad one. I did like the old Atlanta Thrashers one with like that logo. I like that. I don't know why I did, but I just thought because
what is it?
I don't know like.
Cole shook it. I don't know what it is.
Kind of bird?
What
is that supposed to be?
I think it's supposed to be a bird. But Healy and Covey, yeah. I mean, those two. That team, then obviously
they had an awful third jersey, that like powder blue one. Didn't they have one that was like, and it had like a stripe going down the side? And I don't think it had that logo. It had their original logo with the bird, I guess, holding the hockey stick or whatever the hell that thing is.
So on Facebook Live,
terrible one.
On Facebook Live, Jill Fisher DeMarco just posted an image of an old Leafs jersey, and it's like red, white, and blue, and it's just continual stripes with just a leaf in the middle, and it is that's pretty hideous. I mean, because wait till you see it. Everyone tune into Facebook Live. You can look at that up. That's a bad jersey. I like it. It's so bad, it's good.
It's so bad, it's good. It's like a really bad movie.
Even the socks.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Busy.
Oh wow, yeah, it's awful. It hurts my eyes a little bit.
You go into like some of the NHL All-Star Game jerseys, like that 1988 Halloween jersey is awesome. Like just the colors, it's like that black and like orange. It looks absolutely superb. 2001 they started to go in the new age jerseys, and nowadays the jerseys suck. But like that 2001 was the first one where they started to get a little like more contemporary and new, and it kind of straddled the line. Everyone liked it. And then obviously the best one I think is the 83-86, the Campbell Wales jerseys. I always liked those, just the stars on the bottom. I thought they were classic. Obviously you got the big guys, Lemieux and Gretzky, and that was when hockey, hockey's fun now, but that was really good times. I remember watching, seeing those jerseys. That was pretty cool.
Back then.
Absolutely.
I don't think there's like no creativity in much.
They're not trying at all
with
these jerseys anymore.
Jersey design, logo redesigning, and the one thing I think Schwim agrees with me too, is there's no creativity in goalie helmets anymore.
No, very few goalies have good helmets.
The '90s had.
That's another episode. Goalie helmets.
You had your fair share of just awful.
Sam, write that one down.
Take note.
Goalie helmets.
All right, and I do have to give a little love because I will do it. But the Rangers, I like the New Jersey. Mr. Kevin Hayes, that ugly look on his face. But I just like classic Rangers right down the side. Blue, just a little bit of stripe. I also like Lady Liberty. Some people don't like it, but it is what it is. So, any other jerseys you guys want to touch base on before we move to the quarantinis?
Yeah, Bird Person up here for any Rick and Morty fan. This geekyjersey.com has a couple of Rick jerseys. They're pretty cool. Bird Person is my favorite character, I guess, in the show. But yeah, I think going back to the description on them is that they're always having new designs. I think they basically make a batch of every size and they just sell them until they sell out. Because there are a lot of jerseys on there that just have. And
you can request ones that are not in really like production. They just came out with two more. They came out with like a Bowser one and a Terminator one that I just saw. Then they look really cool. The Bowser one looked awesome. The color scheme of it.
Yeah.
Yep. Go to the website, check it out. There's so many cool things in there, and it's not just hockey stuff. I think they have baseball jerseys. They have hats. We're giving them a serious plug here, and I didn't even ask for anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we got to ask for stuff. Isn't that what everybody does? They just say, send me free stuff, and I'll promote you. Yeah. And just for the Stanley Cup champs, and Mr. Gloria himself, that is a nice jersey as well. That is, just so great.
Mr. Gloria
for anyone,
himself.
Yeah, for anyone who didn't tune in yesterday, Phil Pritchard was on Let's Go Devils podcast, and he made some comments about, or he was talking about a party that the team had when Brett Hull was playing, and just fantastic lines. And then of course I had to come in with the Gloria chip. That was pretty good, but no. No, I thought it was funny. I liked it. It was a little bit of
I laughed.
All right. Well, anyways, fine. You guys are a bunch of jerks. All right. So next up, obviously season ending. They finally called quits to the regular season. So that means that obviously awards are going to be based off of the 4 to 70 games that most teams played. They did come out and Alex Ovechkin and David Pastrnak won the Richard Trophy from Bro Schools in a season. Mr. Draisaitl, won. Arros, thank you. Most points in the season. William M. Jennings went to the Boston tandem. The tandem from Boston. Mr. Halak and Mr. Tuca. And then, I figured and obviously President's Award went to Boston as well. I thought what better way than to give our kind of quarantine awards for, who we thought would win Hart, Lady Byng, Masterson, all the fun trophies that everyone really cares about. So I'll leave it with, well, it's kind of cool. Gentlemanly. Why not? We're not gentlemen, so it's cool. Marty would definitely win Lady Byng. He is a gentleman.
I think he did win a Lady Byng.
Marty gets the most penalty minutes consistently every single season.
So and not Marty Brodeur shorts guy, okay? If you're listening, Marty St. Louis.
Martin Lynn.
Marty Lynn will never win any gentlemanly type award. He takes the worst penalties ever.
All right, so
although he will contest that every single one of them was an actual penalty.
It's bullshit. Every single penalty is the worst penalty that a ref's ever called. After he hacks the guy at like 3 foot away. I didn't do that. No, but Marty, we love you. Lynn's Szechuan Palace in Morristown, absolute best Chinese food you'll get around here. Please go see him. Yeah. Great food. Yeah, I said in Morristown, didn't I? But great, right off the square in Morristown, absolutely fantastic. Please go visit them.
Right across the street from Hyatt.
Yeah, the movie theater, something. Yeah. All right, so quarantine. And ask them for some hand sanitizer. I heard it's the best around. Hart Trophy. Let's go to the Hart.
All right.
Top candidates. Obviously this is our picks, but Draisaitl's up there, McDavid, McKinnon. I've seen Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel. I'm obviously rooting for Panarin, even though that's not going to happen. But guys get 95 points in a shortened season. I'd obviously Draisaitl gets 110, but the way he took the team, he led them in 5-on-5 points. He led everyone in the league in 5-on-5 points. Well, I won't pick him. I'll give it to Draisaitl. Just he took that team when McDavid was out, and then also just on a separate line, not even with McDavid. The guy was otherworldly. He was fantastic. I never thought I'd cast a ballot for an Oiler not named Connor McDavid because obviously he's just so good. But two players, on that top two is awesome for a team to have. Probably hasn't been since really Pittsburgh with Lemieux and Yager. Maybe you guys can name another one, but I couldn't think of anyone else.
Malkin Crosby. I mean, at least.
Yeah, but you've always had to deal with Ovechkin too. Yeah, but it's probably 1, 3, 4. Yeah. Nah. But usually one of them's hurt when the other guy wasn't. So, Crosby would go down and Malkin would go off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, but that's a good one. But the big German accomplished over 71 games was just ridiculous. So that'd be my pick. What do you guys think?
I think it's probably a runaway. I think you can make an argument for a lot of players out there, and I even agree with you with Panarin was unreal in so many aspects.
Wow.
The Rangers have a chance to make the playoffs now. Who knows if they would have made the playoffs? And I know that I brought up to you that I don't think Panarin should probably shouldn't be in the discussion unless they make the playoffs. I don't know. It's just a personal belief. I don't necessarily think that an MVP should go to a player on a team that's out of the playoffs. And I also don't think it should necessarily just go to the leading scorer of the league. I think that the leading scorer of the league should probably be a nominee.
Yeah.
But it's however you interpret the trophy.
Pain I know all too well.
Yes.
The leading scorer of a league not being nominated.
So does that. Well, not nominated, but I think was Jamie Benn when he won the title. He
wasn't nominated either. I think, right?
Or he didn't win it. One of the two.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it is. Although I think discussing all that, I think it's pretty much a runaway with Draisaitl. I mean, he's, in my opinion, the best player in the league this season. McDavid was probably 2, and of course McKinnon you can talk about as well. But Draisaitl I think really carried that team probably a little more than McDavid did. But yeah, I don't have much else to say about it. And like I said, I think you can make arguments for a lot of those players just being at least the most valuable player for their team, maybe even most valuable player in the conference. But I think Draisaitl just kind of takes this without much argument.
I don't like agreeing with either of you, but I guess I have to on this time because I think Draisaitl also. The season he's had has been, I think, unbelievable. And McDavid was out, and he still carried that team. A lot of people saying like, "Oh, it's because he's playing with McDavid or McDavid's there that he's, profiting or whatever off of McDavid." But he was out, and he's shown that he can be a dominant player in this league, just like McDavid has shown that. So. As much as it pains me to agree with either of you, I'll go Draisaitl also.
Just two quick more things. He did have 10 game-winning goals, which co-led the league with Pasternak. And then, he did play. I think I read something about 50% of the time he was without McDavid when McDavid was on the ice. So, that's a lot of time. I think he was playing Yamamoto and Yamamoto.
He's made
and
him. An awesome
Kyler.
Player. Him and Yamamoto.
Yeah,
he's taken him to another level. So that's how good he is.
Yeah, agreed.
No, really good. All right, the next big one, and I'm sure Schwim has a very good take on this: the Norris Trophy. Top candidates: John Carlson, Roman Josi, obviously Mr. Victor Hedman, Alex Pietrangelo, Jacob Slavin. It's amazing not to see Erik Karlsson on this list. Same thing with Seth Jones. You got two, but obviously injuries, but those two, otherworldly defensemen. But Brent Burns, Brent Burns went on there too. Oh, geez. But Karlsson, 60 assists, ranks fourth among all skaters. 6-game winners. He played all over the place. point per game campaign, which obviously was really good. But I'm actually going to go with Roman Josi. I think he led that team. He might not have the points. I think he was 10 down of 10 down of Carlson, but I think he plays better defense. Like I said, he's the leader of that team, captain. Unreal shot. Obviously he's had Weber for so long before they traded him, obviously. But he learned so much from him, and you could see him growing leaps and bounds every year. And I really think this is the year that he takes it. Schwim, give me Victor Hedman's case.
So I have who I think is going to win, who I would want to win, and who I'm pulling for to win. I think it's going to be Carlson. I think he's going to win it. Obviously, I want Victor Hedman to win, but I don't think he's going to. Who I'd like to see win is Roman Josi. I'd like to see somebody new win the Norris Trophy, and I think he's deserving of it. I think it's a 3-horse race. It's Carlson, Josi, and Hedman are, I think, the definite top 3. And if it is, I think Hedman has been nominated for the Norris. If he gets nominated again this year, I think it'll be either 4 or 5 years in a row. And he won it the 1 year the year before. So I think Carlson is going to win it. I would like to see Josi win it. And obviously I want Hedman to win it, but I don't think that's going to happen. But Josi is my pick.
Yeah, I'm almost on it.
To see who I want to win. Yeah.
I don't want to agree with you, but I do agree with you on just about everything. I think Carlson, it seems that year in and year out, the Norris Trophy just goes to the defenseman with the most points. And I think it's going to be the same case here. I don't think Carlson is the best defenseman in the league. But I think he's going to win this trophy because of all the points he has. He is, I mean, don't get me wrong, his offensive ability is tremendous. Defensively, he's, I think, middle of the pack defensively. But I think Roman Josi and Victor Hedman,
I think if you go offense and defense put together, I think Hedman's the most complete defenseman you got.
And that's
but he's not going to win just because
Carlson,
of that.
Carlson. Erik Karlsson was the same. He's won Norris trophies, right? Twice.
All for scoring.
Because he's just otherworldly talent back there as far as offensive ability. But at some points during games, he's a defensive liability.
Yeah.
I don't know if John Carlson is ever really a defensive liability. I just think he's middle of the pack.
Hey, lose you guys again?
Yeah, we lost them. Sorry about that.
No problem. But I know they're chatting about.
We are too.
There they are. We're back again.
We're back.
Back.
No.
Anyway, well, yeah, we'll wrap it up as far as it goes. I think.
No, but quickly on the call there: Quinn Hughes, Kel McCarr, Dominic Kubalik, sorry, Mackenzie Blackwood, and Adam Fox from the Rangers. I'm actually going with Mr. Fox here. I know it's going to be a homer pick.
He's a sleeper.
But just some quick stuff on him because I think he's been absolutely fantastic for a Rangers defense that's been zero for most of the season. But 19 minutes a night, rookie best 22, 4-game winners. He had 42 points. A rookie that comes in and leads your defense immediately. Obviously, the other 2 rookies that we talked about, the first 2, Hughes and McCarr. They were hot. McCarr hot in the beginning of the season. Hughes came on late. I think he's really the one that's going to win it. But I'm going to be a homer. I'm going to pick Mr. Fox. I just think that he was fantastic for a defense that was real bad this year. So I'll go with him. You guys?
I think Fox is fantastic, but I think like what you were saying, I think it's Hughes probably. I think McCarr had it in the bag in the beginning of that season up until midway point. He got hurt on and off, so consistently kind of out of the lineup, and I think it gave Quinn Hughes the chance to kind of retake that. And I think it's going to be. I mean, Quinn Hughes is a phenomenal player. Adam Fox also. Phenomenal player. I mean, all 3 of them are just amazing. And I even think I think Cal McCarr will be in 2 years from now. I was reading an article and I agree with that. Cal McCarr will probably be the best offensive defenseman in the league in about 2-3 years.
Now watching him in UMass,
healthy.
Watching him in UMass during the Frozen Four last year, all throughout, and then even in the championship game. I know that UMass got bulldozed, but he was just the number 1 player on the rink the whole entire time. You could see his offense was just ridiculous from the start. He's going to be really good. Colorado Avalanche, I know they were upset about not getting the number 1 that year, but getting 4 Cal McCarr that year, they might have been the winners of that draft. So, Schwim.
Hi.
Who you got?
Real quick, rookie. Yeah, I think it's between two people. It's between Makar and Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
And Makar was definitely the front runner going in, and now Hughes has kind of, I think, closed the gap. I don't know if he's actually surpassed Makar, though, because I think he played like, what, 8 or so less games? Makar did, and he's still only 3 points behind him. So I think it's between those two guys, definitely. If I had to pick one, I'll pick Makar. I think they'll stick with him since he started out and pretty much maintained the whole time, instead of not like Hughes, who was doing okay and then just came on late like he has. So, but I'll go with Makar.
All right, let's go with Jack Adams, and then we'll finish with Selke and Lady Bing because they suck. Jack Adams. Sorry, Vezina. Whoops. How did I miss that one? It wasn't on there. Vezina. I mean, I'm going Hellebuyck, but also you have Tuca. There's a ton of candidates this year that were great. I will go with Mr. Hellebuyck. I think he's led the Jets the whole entire season.
Yeah, I guess we'll wrap up this last award here with the Vezina here, but I agree. I think it's another one. I think it's Hellebuyck. Again, you can make arguments for the other guys because of how good they were, but I think Hellebuyck really, took over the season with Winnipeg. One of the major bright spots of that team, with all of the things that they went through as far as their entire defensive core being depleted even before the season started.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, that's my pick, Hellebuyck.
I'd like to see Hellebuyck win it. I think Rask is going to win it, and Vasi will be nominated again also. But I think Rask is going to win it. I think Hellebuyck should win it. Mm-hmm. That's who I'm picking, but I think Rask is going to win it.
Boys, the Sierra Nevada, like I said, 425, really good beer, wild little thing. You want to give your beers real quick, and then Schwim, take her home.
My Blackberry Saison, I gave it another 4 from Sigmeister. I mean, consistently pumping out good stuff. This is another one good for summertime. Pick yours up. Friday, they have pickups. You can put your orders through for curbside pickup, or they will deliver it to you. So I highly recommend getting this guy.
I think this is a pretty good spring-summer beer, actually. Evil Twin, actually, which it snowed more this winter. I'll give it a 3.75. And am I going to take her home now?
Take her home.
I'd like to quote something by Martin Luther King real quick before we go. He said, "When we look at modern man, we have to face the facts that modern man suffers from a kind of poverty of the spirit, which stands in glaring contrast to its scientific and technological abundance. We've learned to fly the air like birds. We've learned to swim the seas like fish, but we haven't yet learned to walk the earth as brothers and sisters."